In this video, I'm going to show you how to set up and use the more detailed family room capture tool. So with this tool, you're actually going to be able to capture information about the families that are visiting and have them sign in and sign out using their GRMHIS ID and or a hospital ID or PIN number that's assigned by the hospital. And I'll show you at the end of the video where you can enable that feature. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go to Tools, and we're going to go to Web Module Settings, which is where I'm going to be able to configure the options for my detailed form. So I'm going to go to my Family Room 2, which is where I have a detailed form started already. I'm going to enable the Family Room form for this location by making sure that this box is checked. And then I'm going to use the detailed form option here. I'm also going to give my family room a name. I'll show you in a second. That will show, actually I can do it right now. That will show up here underneath the logo, just to help you identify which form it is that you're loading there. So if you've selected the detail form, the simple form options are all grayed out. So the tab is still accessible, but the form options are grayed out. And these three tabs here are now enabled. So there's a sign in and out option, a registration, settings for registration, for patients and caregiver information, and then additional information, which I'll just walk through in just a second. And the instructions that you can edit and customize are corresponding now to the detailed form as well. I'm going to flip back here to the sign in and sign out options tab. So when you have families come, there are two different things that you can do. You can either have them register and sign in, and all we're going to do is just capture the visit along with the corresponding information that we want to capture. Or if you actually want to capture the length of time that they are there, then there's also an additional sign out option. So basically what would happen is a family would come, they would register, then they would sign in, and then when they leave, they're going to sign out. And we'll walk through that process and I'll show you what's all involved there. Alternatively, you can have them just register and then sign in. And then we're just capturing the fact that a visit happened and we're able to link that visit specifically to the family that's registered. So the way this will work is, so I'm going to go with the simple option without the sign out. We'll just go with the register and sign in for now, and I'll cover the sign out a little bit later on because there's overlap for both of these. So the way this will work is a family will come into the family room, and a volunteer would be able to greet them and say, have you registered here before? And if the family says no, or I don't know, you would do one of two things. The first thing you would do is just check if the family is already in GRMHIS. So I'm going to go to my Families tab, and I'm just going to search for the name. Now, I have to hide the names in my search results here because YouTube keeps deleting my videos if I have names in my lists here. So you would typically have the patient's name would be listed here. What I'm after here is just the family ID. So when I find the patient, if we already have them registered in the system, you'll be able to just say, okay, you're going to use 5761 to sign in. So then they would go back here and they would go to the sign in option. And then the sign in code is going to be 5761. And very basically, we're just capturing number of visitors and having them sign in. So this will allow me to track a visit back to that specific family. So we're going to hit sign in, and it captures the information and it goes back to the register and sign in options that are here. If, on the other hand, you weren't able to find them in your search, and by the way, you can search on patient name, you can search on the family member's name. So if they, if you can't find the patient, you can ask them what their name is. You can even search on the family number. You can search on their email address. There's lots of different search options here that allow you to quickly find that information. So there are ways to do it. But what you're after in that search here is that family number. If you haven't been able to find them, we need to register them. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to click the register button here. And I, at this point, have my form set up very, very basic. We're just asking for patient's first and last name. So I'm going to say here, John Doe is going to be my name. And I've got some additional messages here, which we'll cover a little bit later on, but I'm going to submit this. And now we've got a registration number. Sorry, we've got a registration. that now needs to be downloaded into GRMHIS. I'm going to go back to sign in here. It's just taking me back to um, the main page, which is my register and sign in. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go into GRMHIS, and under the day use and family room tab, I'm going to say get web visits. And so we have a family registration and one detailed visit record. That's that earlier visit that I logged already with the ID that we knew. The one I'm after here is the family registration. So we're going to download this. And what happens now is at the bottom here, you're going to see all of the unprocessed web registration. So these are people that have filled out this registration form here. I'm going to go to register. They filled out this form here, and that information is now downloaded here. So I'm going to double click on John Doe, which is what I created. We didn't capture anything other than the patient's name, but you'll see here that you can capture up to 4 patients, and I'll show you afterwards how you configure the form to do that, demographic information, family members, address information, and whatnot as well. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to accept this, because what I'm after here is the family ID. So it's going to ask you to do a search just to be safe yet at this point, but I'm going to say no, we're going to create a registration for a new family, and I'm the one that accepted the registration. And when we're finished, it's going to show me the family detail screen. So just confirm, yes, we want to accept this. And now the family ID shows up here. So 5906 is the new family ID that was just created. It's also in the lower left side of the screen here. So 5906. So now you can direct the family to say, okay, you're registered. I just need you to sign in with that ID. So we're going to go to 5906, and we'll say there's 2 visitors, and we're going to sign in. And done. The next time they come, you just have to have them remember that ID. There is also now an option to print. Pardon me. If I go to preview here, preview or print, there's an option to print a family room ID card. And what this is it's just a very simple report, which has your logo on there, and it says your family room ID number is 5906. This is sized for cards that fit in lanyards. So if your family has a lanyard, you can print this off on a small format printer that prints. I can give I'll put the exact dimensions of this in the description of the video. But I believe it's 3 by 2 1/4 or 2 1/8 is the size of a standard lanyard card. So this allows you to print that off, and you can hand that to the family. Of course, you can print it off on a large piece of paper and cut it out, however you'd want to do that. But this is a very simple way of being able to ensure that they now have that ID, so that they don't necessarily have to remember it, but they can refer to that the next time. So this can be for any family. Like if you've found. If I go here and I look for Jones, and I'm looking for 5761, I can open this up as well, and I can print that family room ID card here as well. So that's the preview option, and then the print just takes it straight to the printer. You would select the printer that you want to print it out onto, and then click OK, and it prints off that copy there for you. So that's found on the family detail form. So again, once the family's been registered in GRMHIS, you'll see here they disappear from the unprocessed web registrations that are available there. So that gives you sort of an overview of the registration and the sign-in process. Now, as I mentioned, I'm registering right now just with the patient's first and last name. Typically, you're going to want to capture more information about the family. So to do that, to customize that part of the form, I'm going to go back to my web module settings, and I'm going to go back to my family room form, and I'm going to go to the registration tab. So there are 2 registration tabs, one for patients and caregivers, and then one for other. So what I want to do here is, let's say I want to capture the birth date for patients, and I want to make it mandatory. I would just check off those boxes. I also want to capture their gender, and I can select a default, or I can have it prompt. I also want to know, are they inpatient or outpatient? So you can add that as an option here. And then there's also the option to show it and capture additional patients. So if I just enable those 4 options there, along with the corresponding required options, and I reload my registration page, you'll see here now that the patient section has first, last name, birth date, gender, and their hospital status, and I have the ability to add second, third, and fourth patient information. Okay, so this gives you the ability to essentially customize this form to capture as much or little information as you would want to. So that's the patient information. Let's say I also want to capture caregivers. So I'm going to say here, we're going to capture a caregiver. If I leave all these options uh, off, it will only capture the primary caregiver. And so if I reload my form here now, I now have a patient section, and then caregiver, all we're capturing is just their last and first name, or first and last name, pardon me. So going through these options, again, for caregivers, you can select the gender, you can have them indicate the relationship to the patient, you can capture the birth date of the caregiver, and you can make that birth date mandatory. So this way you have full control over the information that you're capturing. And then also the option for capturing a secondary caregiver, where I can also show gender, relationship, and birth date, and I can even make the birth date mandatory. So if I go and apply that and then reload my form, you'll see here now that for caregivers, I've also got first, last name, gender, relationship, and the option for the secondary caregiver. I didn't make the birth date for secondary caregiver mandatory, but I do have the option of doing that. So you'll see here that as I'm adding options, the form is getting more and more detailed, but it gives you the flexibility to choose which options you want. Then under the other section, you can capture address information, and you have full granularity over it. So you can capture just the address, and you can make it mandatory. Just the city, make it mandatory. Just the province, just the postal or zip code, just the country. So any combination of these to capture the information that you would want. So if you only want to capture, for example, the postal code or zip code, but I want to make it mandatory, I can just check that box off. And if I reload now, there will be a section now for address that's added to the form, which will appear right here. And the only thing that's asking for at this stage is the postal code or zip code. So I will just enable all these options here. Then same thing with contact information. You can choose to capture phone numbers or not. So if you want to capture a phone number, now we're going to capture up to 4. So you can select how many phone numbers you want to display. So let me just select all 4 there. And I want to make at least 1 phone number mandatory. I'm going to capture an email address, and I want to require an email address to be entered. And then there's also a place where I can capture an alternate email address and a place to show preferred contact methods. So again, if I enable all those options and I reload my form, now I have contact information. These 4, the first one is mandatory. I've got an email address, and I've got the preferred contact methods there. So again, if I want to just do 1, I don't want to make it mandatory. I don't want to capture or require an email address, and I don't want to capture the alternate, and I don't want to show the preferred contact methods. I'll just uncheck those boxes. And now you'll see here, it's just basics, just a phone number and email address, and neither of them are mandatory. We'll do the same thing actually for address. I can take the require options off here. And if I reload, there's a place for address, but it's not mandatory for each of these. Then the last section here is in case of emergency. So if you want to capture emergency contact information for the family that's visiting, there's a place for that. You're also able to track language spoken, their ethnicity, and family income if these are things that you're tracking and capturing as an organization. And then there's also a place for general notes and comments. So again, if I apply that, now we're sort of looking at a much more filled out form that will capture the additional information. And so I'm going to go down to the bottom here. There's my demographic information, which I can select from my drop downs. And I have my emergency contact information. I have the notes and whatnot, and then I can submit that. And just like with the room request form, anything that's mandatory is going to be in pink, and it will have this little asterisk beside the name. And as I start filling things out, the pink colors go away. So the indication to the whoever's filling out the form is very clear. So now, again, I can go through and I'm going to just fill this form out. I won't add additional patients there, but you have the ability to do that. And I'm going to say this is mom And oh, address and whatnot is optional, but I will just fill this out. And we'll put a phone number in here, and I will leave the email addresses. And so now I have emergency contact information, notes. These are notes about the family. And I'm going to submit this. So this is the registration portion. And so now what I can do is I can come in here. I'm going to say get web visits. There is a family registration that I'm downloading. And there's that family registration right here, which I can now go through and I can approve into GRMHIS in order to get that number. So again, if I go to accept here, now here there is the option here of linking to an existing one, and I do have lots of Lydia Den Hollanders in here already. And the process for this is the same as linking to a family. Typically, so the option is there, but typically it's going to be only for new families because you would have already done the search for them. So I'm going to just accept it here. Show the family detail screen when finished. So we're going to say yes. And then I'm going to print off that family ID card for them so that they now have that number, 5907. You'll see here that they're sequential. The last one was 5906. And then that's the number that they can use next time they come visit. They can register their visit here. So now if I go here to sign in, I'm going to press the sign in button. And I'm going to do 5907. I'm capturing the number of visitors, and I'm going to sign in. And now it takes us back to the registration and sign in option page. So that covers the registration side of things, how you can control the information that you're going to capture via the registration. And now I want to show you some of the additional sign-in options that are available. So, pardon me, before I do that, I'm going to go to the instructions here. Each section on the registration page, just like with other sections, you have the ability to put in text. There's also a spot here at the top. There is a place down at the bottom here for some message. So all of that is controlled here through the instructions tab. So the registration introduction, that's the registration introduction message, which is right at the very top here. And you can bold and italicize and all that as well by using these here or putting in the markup text that you see. So there's a section for patient, for caregiver, address, contact. What I need to highlight here is the registration confirm submission. So what happens here is showing a form submission confirmation checkbox. If I want to, so right now, if I go here to the bottom of the form, I just have it says here, I waive all liability. If I want to have, say, a liability waiver, I can put the text of that waiver in here, and then I also want them to check off a box that says I do waive that. So I'm going to apply that. And if I now go to the bottom of the page here, it says here, I waive all liability. Now they actually have to click off yes in order to submit the form. So that allows you to have that additional checkbox added on the form as well. So that's the sections for registration. Each section has its own set of notes. Again, English, French, and Spanish. When it comes to the sign in and sign out options, so if I go back to my sign in page here and I go to sign in, as it stands right now, I'm asking them to enter their code. So that will link it to the family. So we'll know which family it is that's visiting. And then the number of visitors will simply tell us how many people are coming there. Now, you might want to expand a little bit more for the sign in option. So if I go to sign in and sign out, because I don't have the sign out option shown, the sign out settings are disabled. And all of the sign-in options are here. So beyond just capturing the number of visitors, there is an option for capturing number of visitors separated by adults and children. So if you want to know how many adults and children are visiting each time from each family and in the aggregate, you can capture that here. You can have them confirm their hospital ward every single time they sign in. So this will just display a prompt for that. And then if you're not choosing the sign out option, you also have the ability to capture which services they're planning to use. So I can check that box off, and then it gives them an options to select from, and you can create additional options. In the first video, I showed you where you can create options for each family room. And I can also choose to show a comment box on the sign-in screen. So I'm going to enable this. And I'm going to reload the sign-in page. So if I go back to sign in, you'll see here now that I have more options for the sign-in. So the sign-in code will be the same. So I'm going to put in 5907. I'm going to put in, there's 2 adults and no children. And there are these little up-down options here that you can also select. They can use to select. So when I highlight that, that up-down comes here. So I'm going to say 2 adults, 1 child. And we are in the NICU. And again, this here, the sign-in code, that's the family ID. That's what's going to link this visit back to that family in GRMHIS. If they select other ward, then it's going to ask them to specify that, which services they're planning to use. So I want to use the napping lounge and the laundry facilities. There can be some comments here, and we can sign them in. And then once the sign-in is finished, it will take them back to the registration page for the next family to come up. So it's very quick for them to do the sign-in and to capture a fair bit of information. So again, in order to download that information, you are just going to go to Get Web Visits. I don't have any registrations to download. I just have 2 detailed visit records that I just recorded here. And you'll notice now that I have these families. So there's 5907, 5906, and then 5761, which I had done earlier, is also logged here as well. And so you can see there were 2 visits for 5907. We've got the total number of visitors, 5 visitors, visitor visits, and so on. So there is, and then you have the contact information and whatnot, because that's information that's already been pulled in from GRMHIS. So this is where you're logging the details. You can see that it's being tied back to each family, allowing you to paint that picture. Now, for those of you that want to be able to also track the length of visits, there is a sign out option that you can enable. And what that will do is, so the process will be the same. The family comes up, and I'm going to come here. You're going to ask them, have you registered with us before? If they don't know, you're going to do the search and find out. If they have, you'll get that ID. So again, I'm going to go here to families, and let me just do the Doe family. So now I have a number. So let's say it's 5557. And then if I want to, I can open that up. I can print off that family room ID card to give to them. And then we're going to have them sign in with that number by clicking the sign in. But as I said, some of you want to be able to capture the length of time. So you're going to ask families to sign in and out. So what you'll do is you'll go to your web module settings for that particular family room. And I'm going to go to the sign in and out options, and I'm going to enable the sign out option. And you'll notice that when I do that, then these options here, the capturing services used at sign in and showing the comments box to sign in, they're disabled and removed, and it's moved over to the sign out because it makes more sense to capture that at sign out. What did you do while you were here? So I'm going to enable actually, I'll just leave these blank for now. So I'm just going to enable the sign out option. I'm going to apply that. And what that will do is on my main page here, there's now a register sign in and sign out option. If I go to sign out right now, there's no families currently signed in. I'm just going to go back to sign in, and I'll skip the registration part. We've covered that earlier in the video. I'm just going to have them sign in. So I'm going to take 5907. So there's my family code, and there's 2 adults visiting, and they're still in the NICU. So you'll notice now that we're not capturing details about what they're doing. We're not capturing any notes or anything like that. We're simply capturing on the way in basic information. And again, I can turn this off if I choose to under the sign out other. I don't want to capture the hospital ward. I can simply have that turned off there. So we're going to sign in. And now what will happen is the family will spend their time in the family room, And before they leave, you're going to ask them to sign out. So they're gonna simply tap on the sign out button, and there will be a series of boxes here. I'm gonna just sign in a couple families so I can show you what it looks like. So let's do 5557, and there was one adult there, and let's say they are an emergency. And then we're gonna go capture one more, and we'll do 5906. Let me say two adults, and they were in outpatient unit. I'm going to sign in. So when we go to sign out, you'll see here now that there are boxes with their sign-in code on there. So all they have to do is they simply have to tap on the number corresponding to their sign-out code. There are cues here as well for your staff to see. It's also helpful to actually, by the way, see how many families are currently signed in, how many visitors are there, at what time they arrived, and whatnot. So you'll just tap this, and um, and then we're just going to hit sign out. We're not capturing any additional information. We're just signing them out. We want to capture the length of time they stayed there. So we're going to go sign out, and then it's going to go back to this main page here, and then the next family comes along to sign in or register. That can all happen. The next family comes to sign out. You'll see that they're gone. The previous family is gone. It's just these two that are left. What I want to do now is I'm just going to show you. If I want to at sign in also capture the services used and a comments box, I can enable those here. I can go to the instructions section and I can say sign out introduction and sign out notes, or I can have some notes about the services. So I'll say that you used. I can add those prompts there, and again, it's just broken out by where they appear. So I'm going to go to sign out section, and if I go to sign out now, there's my introduction. And when I now tap on my number, now the other ones disappear, and it's going to ask me which services I use. So let's say I use the kitchen, laundry, and napping lounge. They can leave whatever feedback they want here, and then they can sign out. And then once that is they're signed out, they can leave, and this page goes back to where it was before. So now again, I would go into my day use. I'm going to go to get web visits, and all of those detailed records are downloaded and they're linked here. So there's this 5557 that I added into the list as well, 5761. And so we've captured all this detailed information about the family room using the detailed forms. So hopefully you can see here that you have a lot of flexibility and control over what it is that you're capturing and the visitor experience, and how you want to actually make use of the different options in the registration. I should mention as well that in order to do this, you're going to load this on, you're going to load this on, say, an iPad or a tablet or a computer in a kiosk or something like that in the family room. The URL that corresponds to the form is under the web form info here. And let me just break it down for you. So this is the URL, so it indicates family room. The ID here, this is your organization ID, which you would have configured elsewhere. The key here is the location ID equals 4. So every family room has its own ID. So this is number 3. If I go to family room 3, it's number 5. If I go to family room 4, I need to enable that form. It's location 10. That's just a number that's assigned by GRMHIS. That's not a number that you're able to override. But as long as you have the correct link there, and this is also why I recommend that on the options, you make sure that you have the right name here, so that when you load the form, it also shows you here which family room it is that is loaded. All right, so there's your location ID equals 4 for this one. If you want to pass in, so if I opted on the general settings here to enable the other languages, but I don't want to show the language selector on the family room form. I will show it on the room request form, but I don't want to show it on the family room form. You would need to pass in this lang equals en to the end of, or somewhere in what's called the query string. And so you'll see here, whoops. So you'll see here, I've got this ampersand lang equals en. So I'm going to change it to FR, and now the form will load in French instead of, oh, and I have to actually enable the French. So I got to apply here. So this is the key that you have to also pass in, and that's put in with an ampersand in front of it because you also have the location. So it's going to be location equals 4 and language equals FR to load the French version. If you opt not to have the drop down showing. The simpler version is that you just enable the language selector. And if I apply that, then I can still pass it in. That'll just give me the default. But now I have the option of toggling between languages using the drop down that's here. So this gives me gives your families too, when they come up to here, say, oh, I'd speak a different language. They can select that language and work with it from there. The last thing I just wanted to mention then is for those of you that will be using a hospital PIN number to identify families rather than the GRMHIS ID, this one here, if I go into Tools, Application Settings, and I go to the More Settings, Hide Options, there is a place here to hide hospital PIN field. I'm going to enable it. And I'm just going to restart GRMHIS. What will happen then is on the day use and family room tab, there is a column here called hospital PIN. The hospital PIN can then also be captured on the registration form. So if I go to the web module settings, you can have the family enter their hospital PIN when they register. So I'm going to go to registration, and there's capture hospital PIN as an option here, and I can make it mandatory. So what will happen now is when I go to the registration page, you'll see here hospital PIN is the very first number that's in here. So that can be entered. So keep in mind, in order for this to work, if you're going to have hospital assign a PIN, every family needs to have a unique PIN. You can't have multiple families with the same PIN, otherwise GRMHIS won't know which to link it to. So this would be something that you'd have to work out with your hospitals. Especially useful if they need to access the family room using, say, a keypad or something like that. You can have them use that same number so that they don't have to remember two numbers. They can use the same PIN code that they're using to access the facility in order to actually sign in to your family room. So that option is there. Then it also shows here. So when they're registered, the hospital PIN shows up here as well. When you search for a family, the hospital PIN shows up here as well. So if I were to search for the Doe family, or Den Hollander, maybe I have somebody there. Yeah, so here, for example, I have somebody that has a hospital PIN. I can see the hospital PIN number right on the screen here as well. So if they don't remember it, which would be surprising because they needed to enter it in order to get there, but it's also shown in the header here, and it's shown in the footer of the screen as well. So lots of different places where you can get that information back. So that's the number then that they would use. Oh, pardon me. Let me just go back to one other setting. I'm going to go to web module settings, and under sign in and sign out, I'm going to now also indicate that we're going to use the family's hospital PIN to sign in. So rather than using the GRMHIS ID, then now when I go to sign in, the hospital PIN is what they're going to enter right here. And then the rest of the process is the same. So again, just to recap very, very basically, a family comes up to use the family room. And if you're registering all of your families, you're going to say to them, have you registered with us before? Do you know your either your hospital PIN or your family room ID, which would be say 5906 or whatever it is. If they don't know it, you're going to first go into the families tab here, and you're going to look for them. And if you find them, you can say, okay, your hospital PIN here is 5409. Let me print off a card for you. So I'm going to go to print the family room ID card. I'll just preview it here so you can see it again. So that's the number. You can print that, give that to them, and then they are going to come here to sign in. And so we're going to put in the 5906 and fill out the form as before. If they have not been registered before, you're going to register them. they'll fill out the form and submit the form. Then you will come into GRMHIS and you will download your web visits, and the unlinked families will show up down below here. So you're going to click on that record. You're going to accept the record, and I'm going to create a registration for a new family here. And okay, so I'm using hospital PIN here. So now I've got an issue with duplicate registration. Let me just do a different one here. You're going to register them. And then I can print off that card that I just showed you and give that to them. And then they're going to use that number now from now on to sign in. So when they come into the sign-in process, they will enter their code, either their hospital PIN or their GRMHIS code, and fill out the information there. And then for those of you that are tracking time out, they will, when they leave, they're going to click on their number. They're going to fill out this form, and they're going to click sign out. And that sort of closes the process off. So as you can see from this video and also the previous video, there's a wide range of flexible options here that will hopefully allow you to make decisions for yourself about how much information to capture in your family rooms in order to be able to do your statistical reporting and whatnot. You can add and remove options, get as detailed or as general as you would like. And hopefully this will help you to really improve on your ability to track your family room usage. There will be one more video where I'm going to show how to use this module also for your hospitality cart. So that will be covered in a separate video.